very honored to be here. First, Hiller and crew, thanks for fitting me in. Once we get to February 17, it's very difficult to get out and do like public appearances with the season, playing hopefully 70 games in 5.5 months and radio show and recruiting and all those types of things. So really appreciate you getting me in here today. Before I get going, it's 18 months, I think, since I've been here. And I obviously have a lot of friends, back in the West that I'll talk to on the phone. And, they always come back to how is it going? And don't talk to me about the baseball thing. I know where you're going with that type of deal. But how do you like living in Louisiana? And the first thing I'll say is Southern hospitality is very, very real. And I just want to thank everybody for that. It's just obviously our program is a staple, is a fixture in this community. And I know how proud all of you are that. So to be a leader of that is not something I take lightly, but the day-to-day stuff of, hey, where to live, things to know, little things that somebody that grew up in California, Nevada, and Arizona my entire life, those things are very much appreciated. So really just wanted to say thank you for, I guess, living up to the expectation of what living in the South would look like. I had no intention of leaving the University of Arizona. We were rolling along really, really well. But if there was a place that was going to bring me out of that, it was here. And the SEC, and rightfully so, gets a lot of credit. I mean, Coach Bertman started it here, and when he built LSU baseball into a revenue-producing sport, the rest of the league exploded, which I'm very thankful for because he made LSU baseball, but he also made this job a lot more difficult because everybody else has risen because of that. But I want to say this, I've only said it one other time. I didn't leave where I was at to come to the SEC. I came here to come to LSU. And you guys have made this an awesome, awesome place to be, just outside of the baseball, but the community, the support, the interest in the program, events like this, showing up. This doesn't exist. And I would tell you that, a lot of times I feel like a high-end Division I football coach where everybody cares about football, and we all understand why, but this is a special place, and that's not lost on me at all. So I've heard a lot and a lot of talk about, the preseason. Everybody's fired up, you know what I mean? And the energy around our team and program is at an all-time high, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to invigorate what we were doing with a process that you all could get behind and be proud of. So while everybody's talking about expectations and rankings and player rankings and future draft picks and Omaha and all these things, somebody's got to stay focused on how we're going to do it. So I'm that person. So I wanted to connect you a little bit with what we're building and what we've been building here since day one. From a program standpoint, it really comes down to 4 layers: recruit, develop, win, which I'll tell you what that means, and then repeating that. A lot of you are highly successful. I know what your careers are. I know the elements that go into you being a successful doctor, lawyer, teacher, business person that make this community special. The number one advice that I think that we do that is relative to what you do, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with as many great people at what job you need them to do at a high level as you possibly can. And for me, that's players and coaches. And starting with our staff, we had a unique situation where the original staff that I brought in here, 3 of them left, basically got promotions. 2 of them are now Power 5 head coaches at the University of Washington and the University of Kansas. And so we kind of had to reset what we were doing. So the ability to bring in Wes Johnson, who was the pitching coach of the Minnesota Twins, there is no close peer, in my opinion. He is absolutely the best at what he does. And it's more than just analytics and TrackMan and all scouting reports and all this stuff. It's an ability to teach and develop and communicate and connect with our pitchers in a way that I have rarely seen. I would explain him like whoever the best defensive coordinator is in college football, that's what Wes brings to us at LSU baseball. And you can't always get the best person. And so what I've kind of made my hires on in the past is get the best person at the job you need them to do, or get somebody that has a burning desire to be the best, that's made up of high character to do that job. And he's all of that. Same thing with Josh Jordan, our new recruiting coordinator, who came from Duke. And when you think about Duke, you think about basketball and Coach K and all of those types of things. They had 3 top 10 baseball recruiting classes in a row the last 3 years. They've been to 2 super regionals in the last 5 years. And the guy's work ethic is second to none. I mean, and I say that with great respect for assistants that I've had in the past. I mean, nobody outworks this guy. So I think we're adding people to this program, to this university, to this brand that you can be extremely proud of how they're going to operate in terms of their ability to connect with the players and represent us in a really, really good way. So recruit, then obviously it goes into the players. You know, what did we need to do? And going through the SEC for the first time last year, where 10 weekends you go to Hoover and then you go play the SEC tournament, was very good, you know, to get a baseline and a foundation for what that's like. The 2 times we went to Omaha, Arizona, we beat Mississippi State and we beat Ole Miss. Well, doing that in a 2 out of 3 one weekend is a lot different than going through it 10 weeks in a row. And so I was not surprised by this, but how we needed to elevate the talent within the program in really specific areas really came to light. And so that's what we did. Right now, you'll find me in one of 3 places. It'll be on the phone with a elite level player. It will be behind my computer screen, watching video and preparing for an opponent, or on the practice field, developing our players. And so to add the talent we were able to, man, I'm very thankful for what this university provides, you know, in terms of resources, in terms of opportunities. But really what we do is try to connect them with what do they want, what are their goals, where do they want to take their life. And every player we recruit, they want to be a major league player. And so build a staff, connect them with their vision of what they want, add everything that LSU has to offer, and then you can put yourself in a really, really good, advantageous position for that player, elite player, to say, I want to be a Tiger. And so on the pitching side, super important. Very proud of how we pitched last year with what we had. I think we were 4th in the SEC in ERA, but most of that was done by the bullpen. And I know you guys hate long games. Coach Burtman, he lets me know every time, and I talk to him about 3 times a week. You know, hopefully the added starting pitching, less pitching changes, all of those things, we'll play faster games this year. So, you know, you can celebrate, high-five the win, and, you know, enjoy the rest of your evening a little bit quicker. But I told him, Coach, that we have one thing in common, and you know this. We'd rather win in 4.5 hours than lose in 2.5. So, you know, hopefully our pitching will speed up some of these games. But he's on me about it. The next part is development, and I can't stress. This is like my passion, is developing the player and developing the team in areas that will lead us to where we want to go. We have laid out a path for how this team is going to be successful. Then we spend time on those areas, both individual player and team development, whether it's skill improvement, game simulation, and give them a platform where we can basically get 1% better on a daily basis. And in your job, if you can do that, think about your office building, that 1% every day you improve. A year from now, 6 months from now, your company is going to look a lot different than it does today in the most positive way possible. Well, that's what we want to do too. We want to play well enough early in the season to put ourselves in a good position and win games, but we want to get better while we're doing it. So we're playing our best in May and then obviously in June. So recruit, develop, and then win. Like, winning is not in this context what you think it is. To us, it means what's important right now. Okay, you guys, please get excited, lose your mind, talk about how we're going to Omaha. Fuel the community with all this energy. We have to focus on what's important now, and that's what the acronym WIN stands for to me. Being immersed in the present moment, and that is so hard today with the society we live in, and especially with 18 to 22-year-old males. They can get distracted after about 30 seconds really quickly. So really teaching them that present moment focus. And during COVID, we all got to watch The Last Dance thing about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, and the most impactful part of that was it wasn't that he ran faster, he jumped higher. It was he was exactly where he was when he was there, and then that lifted everybody else around him. And so that's what we really try to do as a player, as a coaching staff and players, is stay focused on the present moment. And then the most important thing is consistency, doing it day after day after day after day. You know, we have a saying that discipline is a lot more important than motivation. Now, it's my job as the leader to motivate and inspire with really simple messages, but yesterday's successes won't win you tomorrow's games. And so the ability to repeat going out and getting players, developing your players, staying focused on the present moment day after day after day, that's what I want you to see. That funnels us into basically just 3 core values of the program. Fundamentals, and what it means is this: it's doing common things in a very uncommon way. Fielding a ground ball, throwing strikes, controlling the strike zone as a hitter, continually giving your best effort at repeating very simple fundamentals that have proven to help teams win baseball games at a high level over and over and over and over again. If you came and you walked in our facility, like the practice plan is up early in the morning everywhere with a ton of detail on it, but the details are really, really simple. And so what I want you to see is an incredibly fundamentally sound baseball team. Compete, that's the second phase of this. You deserve this as a community and fans of our program, is there's never a team that walks into Alex Box Stadium and values winning more than the Tigers. And so we have another quote around that, is they can prepare for what we do, how we pitch, how we hit, but they can't prepare for who we are, from a competitive element of bringing it every time there's somebody across from us. And if you ever feel like, hey man, that team, it was more important to them than to our team, like there's very few things that could get to me that would get to me if I thought there was merit to that. But I don't think you'll see that too often. I don't think you saw that with last year's team, you know, that had a very successful season. So fundamentals, compete, and then character. And I would sum it up as this. There's a really good quote, and it's too long, and I'm a PE major, so this is the one time I'm going to read it. There's a lot, yeah, that's another thing. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, becomes your destiny. And so character is a big foundational piece of who we are as a program. Number one, you all deserve to be represented in a first-class manner. When we're in a hotel, we're getting on an airplane, when we're on the field, that really, really matters. But again, going back to this transformative time in our players' lives, their ability to make really good decisions is really, really important. And so we really, really impress those 3 things on them. That will be the same year in and year out. Moving forward into this year, what's important? We have a ton of talent. There's no getting around that. The ability of the player to be mentally strong. Because in baseball, the only thing I can guarantee them is there's going to be adversity. There's going to be failure. Great, we're number 1. There's 4 teams in the SEC West in the top 7. You know, there's 7 teams in the top 10. So what a great opportunity. So mindset, incredibly important. What does that mean? Resist the urge to be complacent. I'll take care of that one. You don't have any worry there in terms of what's happening with that. The ability to focus on the task at hand, back to what's important now. The ability to overcome failure. And Coach Bertman, I mean, had so many great motivational techniques. One of my favorites that he had is he used to have like a little toilet in the dugout. After a bad play, he would make the player go over there and flush the toilet. Yes, yeah, it's amazing. So we give them that image of owning your mistake, of flushing your mistake, and then having the ability to reconnect right now. We have really upgraded on the pitching side of it. So we might give up 2 or 3 runs early in the game, but we're going to have pitchers that can go out there and continue to put up zeros to allow our offense to come back. We'll be able to hit some home runs. So we have to continue to get past a poor at bat or a bad trip through the order early in the game and keep going. Last thing about mindset I would say is we are working to play to a standard that is above winning. And if you play to that standard, the winning takes care of itself. I can't be up here talking about process and focusing on the task at hand, and then sell out to, hey, we just need the result. That's what we're here working for, so you all can be proud of us and go to Omaha in the middle of June and celebrate those successes, but we're going to work to play to a standard above winning. The second thing that we've talked about is being incredibly selfless. And again, it's just the way that it is. That's not the society that our players have grown up in today. It's a very me culture. And all of them were the best players on their high school team. Some of the transfer portal guys were the best pitcher or player on their team last year. To get them to step outside themselves, to recognize that it's a privilege to be a member of this team, to place the needs of the team above their own. So what we did is we just outlined the best teams in LSU history. There's so many good examples of guys doing this. So LSU's played baseball for a long time. There's been 6 national championships. That's a lot. But it's not in terms of how many years baseball has been played, so that's a special accomplishment. Now, it was great players, that made these things happen, but there was very unselfish players. And I won't go through all the examples, but the most iconic play in college baseball history is Warren Morris's walk-off home run to win the 1996 national championship against Miami. Well, they also won the national championship in 1993, and Warren Morris redshirted on that team. He didn't play. Think about the landscape of LSU baseball, still be the best program in the country, but what if that walk-off home run in that 3rd national championship didn't happen because he transferred, because he stopped working, because he thought about himself above the team? And I could give you 5 or 6 more examples that we went through 1997, 2000, and they're all over. And so we're using those as examples for what our players need to emulate to give us the chance to achieve the way what they want to achieve. And so it's like, okay, what do we want to do? Of course, they want to win a national title. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're looking at me like, Coach, what are you talking about? Like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And then I'm hooking them, and I'm hooking them. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, this is what it's going to take. And then boom, Warren Morris, okay? Boom, Ryan Jorgensen played in the major leagues and was not a starter on the 2000 national championship team. Mikey Matuk, Austin Nola, big leaguers, as freshmen, didn't play right out of the gate, handled that well. Leon Landry got replaced by one of those guys and handled it well. He's the guy on the top of the dog pile in 2009. So great mindset, being selfless. And then this number one thing I get asked about all the time, like with my friends in the media that are here today, they really want to talk about, how are you going to deal with it, this and that. Well, I go, it's better than people thinking that you suck. No, I mean, so we go at it as this, is like, this is the way I want our players to approach it, there's a fire in the house. Like, the house is burning down. That's very much like what SEC baseball is. I mean, it's chaos every weekend. Well, you could be afraid. You could tiptoe around it. You could pretend that a fire's not going and the fire's going to burn down the house. So instead of that, grab the hose, run in there, get people out of the house, start doing what you need to do to execute your job. Run towards it. Hey, you're going to get everybody's best shot. Good. Okay. What if we, in turn, give everybody our best shot? I don't really want to talk about another SEC program, but we're always trying to emulate, what the best do. Georgia football, best program in college football right now, today, as it stands, back-to-back national champions. They won it last year. Their team did an excellent job this year of taking the fight to their opponent, even though they were the hunted. Okay, so we're really going to try to emulate, being the hunter and attacking and running towards it. Last thing, and then I'm happy to answer questions. It's very uncommon, as I said, for young males to think about people outside themselves. It's also very uncommon for them to step up and be leaders and hold each other accountable to that standard that is above winning and confront and demand it out of each other. That's something that we've worked really, really hard, is to elevate our player leadership within the program and confronting and demanding each guy having an elite mindset, each guy being selfless, each guy running towards the fight in terms of practice, the game, the competition, all of those things. And I've seen some really, really good examples of that. We have, in my opinion, the best player in all of college baseball in Dylan Cruz, who you've seen for the last 2 years. I would encourage you, A, because we need the home field advantage, but B, you need to come watch this player play while he is here. All right, this cat does not end up in college very often, with professional baseball not snagging him out of high school. But our players know how good he is. But what nobody else sees outside of our team is how hard he works, how disciplined he is, how mentally strong he is, how he overcomes failure, how he does all these things that I listed out incredibly well. We added another pitcher from the Air Force Academy this year named Paul Steens, transferred from Air Force. And everybody asks me, like, how does that happen? Well, if you stay in the Air Force Academy for a third year, you're locked into that military service. This guy's about to get like $5 or $6 million here in like 6 months, and he's going to be pitching in the big leagues within 18 months time. That's a massive change in terms of the contribution he's going to make on the field. Off the field, though, this dude's got it. It's exactly what you would think of a player that spent, 24 months at the Air Force Academy and has brought another dimension to our program of helping players hold each other accountable. So when you have two players, like Dylan and Paul, that are going to be major leaguers someday, possible major league all-stars someday, the cornerstones of a high-level team that we have doing these things, requiring the best out of every player, it raises the bar for everybody. So I wanted to give you a little insight into that. I'm happy to talk about who the closer is going to be, and I know all the questions you have. I'm happy to do all that, but more than anything, I want you to be really, really proud of the process that's in place of what we're doing to build it for this year and at LSU baseball for a long time, because there is nowhere else that I want to work or coach ever other than this place, and I'm very honored to be here. So thank you.
Let me just add, we've got microphones, stands set up on either side. If you would, for the benefit of the crowd here and the coach, if we could address it at the microphone when you have a question. Appreciate that. Thank you, Coach.
Coach, just a quick question. Have you had any issues with NIL with your team?
The question was, have you had any issues with NIL with your team? Is that okay? So NIL is name, image, and likeness. Players can make money for using their name, image, and likeness. I'm in favor of it because we compete against Major League Baseball more than we compete against any other team for a recruit or a player. And we lost 5 or 6 in this year's draft. I don't ever think about them or talk about them because I like where our team's at. I don't think NIL will ever impact it to where a player is going to choose to come to college because of a chance to make money in NIL versus a big pro signing bonus. I do think that here we have such a great platform. I mean, we have such a great community that cares about the Tigers. I mean, we'll usually lead the country in attendance. And so people in the community see opportunities to market their business through our program, and it provides opportunities for the players to make money off their name, image, and likeness, and that's great. I don't think that exists very many places. As far as issues, no. I mean, that's not how this goes. The world's not always fair, you know what I mean? And perform, be a good person that does these things that we talked about today, and then those opportunities seem to find you. If there is issues, they haven't become issues within our team, and we have a good group of mature guys that handle themselves well in the locker room. And so far, so good.
Coach, the reports say that you have yet to settle on a singular second baseman. That's a rotation there. And I was wondering if you're concerned about the rotation affecting the continuity and consistency of the play of the infield, which you would normally, I would think, like to have.
Yeah, good question. I think that, Coach Burtman always had a saying that you know what your team looks like at tax day, which is April 15th, I think. So we have a lot of talent on the roster this year, and I did make a comment the other day. Like, I'm not looking for a starting second baseman. I'm looking for every player on the team to use their skills in the job that we give them to help the team win. And right now, it's a very competitive deal where I would be undermining the talent on the team if I just gave the position to one player right there. And so what you'll see is guys being put in certain situations to match their skill set and execute in a way that by using more of them, it makes our team better. Could somebody, eventually play into that? For sure. I'm trying to stay open-minded, with a few positions on the team right now, because developing a sense of team, like I have a responsibility in that as well, and there's just more than one guy that can get the job done. And so we're working our way through that. And if it works out that way, that's awesome. And few of them have the talent for that to end up. But for the time being, you'll probably see a few different players playing there.
Coach, obviously you brought in a lot of new talent. Some of them are big names like Tommy White. Who are some of the guys, though, that are new to the program this year that we're not hearing about that are going to surprise us? And who's going to be the closer?
Love it. So very good class. I think the transfer portal being such a new thing, and the players that we got out of the transfer portal obviously had really successful seasons last year. So you've kind of heard about Tommy White and Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens, Christian Little, Ben Napolt. It's a very good freshman class. We have an outfielder named Paxton Kling from Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania, that has all the talent in the world. Man, he was committed before I got here, but then when I got here, he decommitted and then made me chase him around for like 6 months. That's the only negative thing I have to say about Paxton. But sure glad that I did. And, he'll be a special player here. Jared Jones is a catcher, first baseman, DH, from Georgia. I mean, this guy's got serious power. He reminds me of Mark McGuire, if we all remember who Mark McGuire was. Brady Neal, freshman catcher. Gavin Guidry from Lake Charles, Louisiana, good infielder. Chase Shores is a freshman pitcher that I think has a chance to be a true ace, in the program. He threw on Monday. I mean, he's 6'8" and is up to 98 miles an hour, and he throws strikes, and he looks in at you. Man, I wouldn't want to stand in there against him. So really excited about all those freshman players. Thank you. Closer, to be determined. We have a lot of guys throwing the ball well. We're still sorting out a couple spots in the starting rotation where I think there's about 6 guys that could, run through that. Grant Taylor, Ty Floyd, Chase Shores. Bryce Collins has made a big improvement from last year. You have 2 really good lefties, Riley Cooper, who pitched well for us last year. Nate Ackenhausen is a left-hander we like. So I think the depth of the staff will be the strength, and we'll line it up, per game who fits there the best.
Susan? I know it. Go ahead.
Look, put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. You got your fans so fired up. Who besides Paul? Who else will be your starters? And of course, you talked about the closers. I was interested in that, but
Yeah.
a bunch of them. How many pitchers altogether do you have?
You know what? You're supposed to wait and ask me that at dinner tonight. I'm just kidding. Starting pitching candidates, Paul Skeens will definitely be a starting pitcher. Thatcher Hurd will definitely be a starting pitcher. Grant Taylor has made a massive jump from last year. Ty Floyd has made a massive jump. I mentioned Chase Shores, Christian Little from Vanderbilt. I think there's about 6 guys that you could see start, whether it be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and then the other 2 will form into long relievers. And what we may do early on in the season, because we need to keep all their pitch counts up, you may see guys like piggyback games, like 5 innings, 4 innings, so that all of them continue to keep their pitch count up so we can interchange them at any time.
One more.
Coach,
Yes.
is Market going to stay in infield, or is he going to go to the outfield?
Man, I don't want to give up the suspense of that one. No. No, he's going to start out as a first baseman for sure. And one thing that I'm very confident in this year is a lot of you are going to talk a lot less about his ability to dig and pick because our infielders are going to hit him in the face every single time. So, but he's a great athlete. He's healthy. His knee's healthy, so he'll be able to run out in the outfield if we need to do that. But right now, we have a lot of depth in the outfield, and so he's probably best served at staying right where you guys all like to see him play.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.